we've been out there speaking loudly and clearly saying this is the most pressing issue of our time. The planet cannot wait. In terms of our billboards, the climate has to change. The political climate has to acknowledge that we must live within the fragile limits of this one planet. There's no alternative. And I think there's lots of people in Sheffield Central, they've been drawn this to their attention with the issue of fracking, very much a hot issue here in South Yorkshire. They've been thinking about what's the future of their children and grandchildren. So people are thinking about the environment, and they know that in Sheffield Central they can vote Green and get a Green MP.
But the campaign seems to have been fought on security, on Brexit, on standards of living. As I say, the environment hasn't really registered. So where do you stand on something like Brexit?
Well, the Green Party has a very clear position on Brexit, a very distinctive position on Brexit. We say that our young people should not have lesser opportunities, fewer freedoms than their parents had. We will fight very hard for freedom of movement, and sadly the Labour Party says that they've given up on that entirely. They're not going for it. We will also allow people to decide about what kind of Brexit we have. We want to have a ratification referendum that ensures that people can say whether they like the destination or not. What we saw with the last referendum was like you're in Sheffield and the direction was drive north. Depending on your heading, depending on how far you drive, you get to some very different destinations. People should be able to say whether they like that destination or whether they actually want to remain as part of the EU with all of those protections for the environment, for workers' rights, and of course that hugely valued freedom of movement. That means someone in Sheffield, perhaps studying at Sheffield University, might go off and do an Erasmus scholarship, maybe fall in love with a place or a person, be able to stay anywhere in Europe. That's a freedom we shouldn't give up.
Do you think your campaign has been affected by the recent terror attacks? Do you have a clear policy on security?
Well, I think in terms of security, the Green Party has been speaking about these issues long and loud. We need a safer, more secure world. And indeed, just at Hustings, a couple of the recent Hustings, we've been debating international aid. And we say we should lift our aid to 1% of GDP. That safer, more secure world will make all of us safer. And of course, we have to stop the disastrous policy of foreign interventions, Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya. They've been disastrous for the world, for our own security, for the security of the world. And Caroline Lucas majored in on the leader debates talking about selling arms to Saudi Arabia. Look at what they're doing in Yemen, the huge human rights abuses there, and the human rights abuses in Saudi Arabia. This is something as Britain we shouldn't be doing, both morally, but also because it's making our whole world more dangerous.
The other big issue, the economy, the standard of living, some of what the ideas the Green Party are proposing, they're quite radical in terms of tax and affecting people's way of life. Is that going to harm the economy?
Well, what we need, first of all, is jobs that people can build a life on. That means no zero-hours contracts. It means a real living wage. We're delighted that Labor has adopted our policy from 2015. We're saying a £10 an hour minimum wage by 2020. But of course, with the Green Party, we're going further. We're restoring all the cuts to benefits, whereas Labor, I'm afraid, is leaving most of those cuts from the Tories in place, which many people in Sheffield are really struggling to put food on the table and keep a roof over their head. But more broadly, we're thinking for the long term. We're thinking about a universal basic income, proposing a universal basic income that would mean nobody would be left without paying money at all.
And how do you pay for that?
Well, what we need to do, and this is the other side of this, and reflects the shape of our economy, is we need to make multinational companies and rich individuals pay their taxes. Now here in Sheffield, particularly Sheffield Central, we've got a really thriving small business sector. But they struggle to compete against big multinational companies that don't pay their taxes, don't treat their workers properly, and indeed, as I was highlighting in terms of deliveries on roads using HGVs on small roads, don't obey the law. We want to support small independent businesses, get a flourishing, strong local economy, and that's the foundation of real prosperity for Sheffield, for every city, for every community in Britain.
Marvellous, thank you. Well done, everyone. Top sign holding. Thank you very much. Thank you. Lunchtime and tonight, it's what we typically say, so I don't know which bit they'll want and why. But yeah, thank you very much.